All right, we're with Gisa Paredes now. Gisa, give us a bit of an introduction about yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Gisa Paredes. I'm a psychologist, Accudetox specialist. I'm the founder of Healing Minds PH and the acting chief operating officer for Well at Sea.
Maybe you can share, Gisa, like how you actually got into the psychology field and maybe elaborate on after the link to your, I guess, healing modalities and spirituality.
Oh my God.
Start with
Maybe,
psychology muna.
yeah, well, I think it kind of goes all the way back, really. It ties into this whole spirituality business because when I was 4 years old, I got dengue. And it was the type na parang they didn't really know how to like treat dengue yet. Parang medyo malabo at that time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my platelet count had dropped drastically. And all I remember the whole time I was in the hospital was that I was outside in the garden playing with my guardian angel. So
Oh, wow.
apparently, to my parents and everybody else, tulog lang ako.
Yeah.
I needed like blood transfusion, all of that, and I guess they feared for my life.
For sure.
There would be like priests and nuns and whatever always in my room praying over me, but I have
Out
no
of body
recollection.
experience.
Wow.
Yeah, I have no recollection of this at all, of them being there, whatever. Very, very vague memories, but the most I remember of it was being outside in the garden playing with my angel.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did wake up, like I think my mom hugged me and I said, parang, what's wrong? Why are you like so extra happy? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, yun nga, they were worried about me. And I said, oh, but I was just outside with my guardian angel, Rosa. So she had a name.
Wow.
And so when I got out of the hospital, finally, my mom took me to like those religious shops. You know, those ones in like Mega Mall
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
or something. I actually don't remember which shop it was, but we walked into a religious shop with all these like statues and stuff. And I
Okay.
said, Mom, that's her. There was this one little statue there. I'm like, that's her. That's my guardian angel. She looked exactly like Rosa. Only it was a statue of the Virgin Mary stepping
God.
on
Oh, wow.
stepping on the snake.
Fantastic.
Wow.
So we bought it. We brought it home, and it's always been in our house. And just growing up, like my mom always like made me remember that I had Rosa. So even my aunts and uncles, siblings, everything, they would always say, Gisa, ask your guardian angel, okay? Tell your guardian angel this and that. So I kind of just became that like medium without knowing it. That I could
Chano.
talk to a guardian angel, I could request things from her, and that she would give it to me. So I just had like this direct link to her my
Yeah.
whole life. And then when I was about 9 or 10 or something, my mom took me to I think it was called like the Chakra House.
Okay.
And these people could see angels. And she had me sit with someone in the room. And that person was like, well, you know, I can see angels. Would you like to know like what your guardian angel looks like? And I was like, I already know what she looks like. Parang, why are we even doing this? It's so stupid.
Yeah.
So anyway, we sat through it. I was a testy pre-adolescent. And I just like sat there giving her attitude. And she described her the same way that I saw her in the hospital. And then she said, she stands on your left side and her name is such and such.
Shit.
And I said, I know her name. Like, she goes, yeah. She says that you call her that. But you know, angels, when they speak on a frequency. So sometimes the frequency and what we hear is what we get. But she had like another name that was just so out of this world. But I said, I'm not going to remember that.
Yeah,
relativity.
The frequency that I got was Rosa. So
Yeah.
it's always been that. And so, yeah, I mean, that's really where all of this began. It started when I was 4.
Wow.
And then when I was 23, fuck, I don't even remember how old I was. Basta, it was 2009. And I had a really bad relationship. with a guy. Never mind his profession.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We don't
We'll get into
feel
that.
about that. That's okay.
no, but okay. So I had a really bad relationship.
Uh-huh.
He was pretty abusive. Um, he was heavy into
Okay.
drug use. So he
Oh.
started like threatening and whatever.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah. So after that experience, of course, I had to go see my own counselors. I had to start seeing my therapist. Then my mom took me to the healing house. And then that's when I met Tita Carmen. And everything just kind of started there. They would make me sit in a chair, and then they would, the crystal.
Yeah.
When that was the
Yeah.
only modality, I would just sit there and I would just let them. Parang okay, if it gives my mom peace of mind, I'm gonna do it. But anyway, that whole like experience and like going to a therapist and seeing the healers and doing all of that, especially because the guy himself was diagnosed with a mental illness
Okay.
and he just wasn't stable at all.
Uh-huh.
I think it's really what pushed me. It's what urged me to go and take my master's in psychology. Because in undergrad, I was already psych and visual arts. So I could have gone the whole artist route if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I kind of felt no way. I feel like there's like a bigger calling here. There are more people who need to be understood. And I guess in a way, I wanted to also maybe dive deeper and understand him. Like, how could one person get this way and become so evil and like do this to other people?
And did that give you like did it reveal some stuff after you did your masters? Did you find answers like with regard to your ex and like, like the way people behave?
Masters is one big therapy. And it is like the most painful experience.
How so?
Yeah, I mean, because like you're studying to be a psychologist,
gathering.
but you are required to do therapy consistently. Like
Okay.
if anything happens and you're constantly making reflection papers, you're constantly talking to your professors, but you're also learning the science. And I went in and out of all sorts of emotions I got triggered left and right on so many things. It really made all my demons come out. But that's the whole purpose of becoming a psychologist. Like, there's no way that you can help other people if you also don't dive deep.
I get that.
When you say demons, though, like what exactly are you referring to? For those that aren't really aware of like that kind of terminology.
Demons, well, if you like relate it now to Carl Jung, he calls it the shadow, right? So
Okay.
Carl Jung has these archetypes in the personality, and he says that in each person there's a part of you that is wise, there's a part of you that is the shadow self, meaning the part of you that, well, as much as possible you would like to hide.
Okay.
Understood.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But like
And yung nakakahiya, yun.
Medj. Yeah.
The
you're
part of,
ashamed.
but it's not just about the shame. I think it's also about like the uncontrollable anger from time to time, because anger can also be a shadow. Obsessions can be a shadow.
Okay.
Self. Things that like, oh my God, am I obsessing? Things like that.
Yeah. So is addiction like a byproduct of obsession? Or is it a totally different thing?
That's
It could
chemical.
be. It could be.
I guess it could be.
Because it's a compulsion. It could be considered a compulsion.
Because I go to therapy and like, like I've seen different kinds of psychiatrists, psychologists, and a lot of them are very big on chemical imbalances. But there are others, like there was one who was specialized more on like Carl Jung. But parang sometimes you have to like, because they always ask about your genetics, if your parents were
family
predisposed to
content,
depression or anxiety, and it's like, but at the same time, parang sometimes, like when you actually, because like I'm just gonna share, I've gotten on meds, and I've seen the difference of getting on meds and not being on meds. Like they say that it kind of like makes things a bit more neutral, which is nice if you want to function well in the real world. But I
Yeah.
guess if you feel like you want to be more in the ethers and just kind of
Energy.
connecting and
Yeah.
just flowing through it, then okay, don't be on it. But I think for me personally, it helps me a lot. You know, there's that stigma though that parang, oh, like antidepressants are bad, you shouldn't get on them. You know, so like
I
what
guess
are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that, Snap?
if you ask me, the antidepressants are bad if you're using it recreationally. Like if you're using Xanax to just trip out or like get through the day, that's not good.
Yeah.
But if the doctor says that you need to take it to be able to function throughout the day, then I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But then if you feel as though it's limiting your growth as a person, or like it's like taking you away from what you believe to be your purpose, then maybe you should wean yourself off and try to control yourself, because again, you control yourself. The physical manifestation of your soul is pretty much dependent on your consciousness. Diba? Parang how you would like to understand things is based on how you're predisposed. It's everything that's in your head.
Totally. But like, how do you like differentiate though? Like, you know, there are people that are very into the esoteric healing modalities, and there are those that are very into the science-based facts.
Approach.
Yeah. So, but how do we like? What are your?
Gisa might be better to answer that. I think.
So Gisa, like, what do you think about that? Like the whole psychological, the science aspect of it versus the esoteric energy healing, you know, natural medicine.
Well, I do both. And as a psychologist myself, I prefer to see an energy healer instead of seeing a psychologist. And parang by profession, we are required to see another psychologist for therapy, because we need, like, ethically, we're really supposed to parang process our own issues with another professional. But my answer to that is, you know, to each their own. The thing is, like, not all parang licensed psychologists are going to resonate with a person. And the only real thing that we do is, well, we talk to people, right? You could talk to anybody, really. Yeah. We have certain tools, yes, but so do others. And if that's the tool that works for you, if that's the tool that like you truly believe in, then use that. Find somebody who'll guide you with that tool. But if there is a need for medication, then it is absolutely necessary to, one, take the medication with your psychiatrist, and then work hand in hand with your therapist. And then I would say slowly explore other modalities if you like. But in the beginning, the step is psychiatrist with the meds, psychologist for the talk therapy, and then start blending it with all these other things. Eventually, it can wean you off psychotherapy.
Wow, ang galing nun, ah.
I like that. I really like that.
Niren, like, finally, we have someone who is, what's the term? Of the right credibility.
Yeah, qualified.
Yeah, qualified person. You have the credentials to be able to back up that statement. Galeng. And that's a really great thing to hear. Normally, it's just me and Nikki shooting shit. You know what I mean? Like
but the thing is,
figure it out as we
like,
go
how
along.
do you go find like that middle part? But like, as a, you know, like with a scientific background, plus you also dabble in the esoteric and the natural, like, do you think that, especially here in the Philippines, should the public be more aware of that world? You know, like the healing house, energy healing, theta healing, or do you think maybe it has to be integrated slowly?
Well, the thing is, if we also trace back to our own roots, we had the Babaylans, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's in our nature to have Eastern medicine. It's in our nature to trust in the spirits. We pray to a god. Like, it is normal for us to, it's normal for us to be like a spiritual nation.
Oh, for sure.
But the thing is, I guess, the problem here is with any sort of mental illness, what becomes a stigma and the problem in our society, particularly Philippine society, is pray to God.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how then do you start introducing that when yes, we are doing the spiritual, but also when it is dead serious, the answer is idasal mo na lang yan. Parang, teka
Mahirap
lang,
yun. Mahirap
Yeah.
yun.
mahirap.
Yeah.
Hirap yun.
Like,
So, mhm.
go ahead.
So, well, like for me, I really mix the two. There really has to be a form of grounding. That's
Okay.
why I say like there are steps to this. If you find that you are questioning if you have a mental disorder or like you are really struggling in life, the first
Yeah.
step is to see a psychologist. Let
Uh-huh.
that psychologist parang assess it. Then
Yeah.
see a psychiatrist if you have to take the medicines.
Mhm.
And then start dabbling in all the other stuff. And it's easy to now introduce people to those stuff if they find that curiosity. And I guess like that curiosity would come from the real like innate yearning for healing.
Yeah.
Because when you are in like that deep pit, it's that
Mhm.
one moment in your life where you're like, I'll do anything to get out of this.
Exactly.
Right? So you don't sell it to someone who's like totally fine.
Yeah.
You it will resonate with the people that it's supposed to resonate with. And I think to each their own blessing. Who said this? I think it was Deepak Chopra this morning. He said that we what is it? There are 7 billion ways to shine our light.
I like that. I like
Did you
that.
get that?
I like that.
Because
Yeah.
we all don't shine our light the same
We
way.
don't talaga. We don't
We
talaga.
don't. So like Nikki's gift now is he's gonna go off and like disappear from the city and
Yeah. He has
like
that.
snaps. Yeah. Your gift now, Snap, is that you're the corporate work, what you're providing for your family, things like that. And then
Yeah.
my gift is totally different. I serve like the maritime industry. So there are 7 billion ways to shine our light.
But why are people so scared? Like, like whenever I talk to some of my students, and then they're always like, I'm so stressed with my job, but it pays the bills. And, I want to
Mm,
pursue like photography, but, it's too uncertain. I don't have the balls to take that leap of faith.
Yeah.
Like, how come I feel like there's a big scarcity mindset when it comes
mm.
to like pursuing the things you want to do. Where do you think that stems from?
Well, the three of us were talking about it earlier. I think that's tied to a lot of form too.
Mm.
So just a lot of like belief systems,
That's
society.
it. Yeah.
So I mean, there is such a thing as what is it called this social learning theories, so behavioral therapy theories, all of that, right? Skinner.
Mm.
So these behaviorists, and what they tell you is that everything that you are is a learned behavior from what's outside of you. So a person becomes that way because obviously there are
Stimulus.
generations before us that have already kind of passed this on. In society, we know, right? Parang, oh, wag kang kukuha ng art course, walang pera dyan.
Yeah.
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 It's
Doktor ka
just
lang.
yeah,
Yeah.
parang we already, how many
Yeah.
times have we heard of the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's where they're coming from. There's some sort of structure that we're living around. We
Yeah.
came
The
into this
system.
world, there were already laws.
The systems were already in place.
They were in place, exactly.
Yeah. So it's very hard to kind of disrupt it. I mean, to your point, that's why what you said earlier really resonated with me. I love how you said that there has to be like a balance between both, because I think that's the best way to get more people into it. It's a good bridge, because without that bridge, you're not able to reach. You're not able to maximize your reach.
And I think we also like need to remember that, and as much as we want to be free, because I think that's really what it is. No, I mean, if you go back to your philo,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
whole question of philo really is about our free agency and why man like makes all these decisions. And I forgot what philosopher it was, but all we really want to do is to be free. And that's what we're going to keep fighting for. But the thing is, we live in structure.
Created by
Where
man.
was I? Yeah, where was I going to go with this? I had an idea. I lost it. Fuck.
It'll come back.
So
It'll
go
come
back,
I
I'll
back.
come
know.
back. But like you were
Okay.
talking,
Yeah.
it reminds me of like I was watching this new video on Vice, wherein the founder was interviewing Edward Snowden about what's
Yes,
happening with the
I saw you share
what they're
that.
applying in Korea and in Taiwan and in
Contact
China, the
tracing.
contact tracing, wherein basically, I mean, they're using people's data and they're
No,
saying,
it's Epic Shelter, diba? He created that program that farms everything that goes online, basically.
but that's
And then
scary. I mean, like just tying it up lang with the whole freedom thing. Right now, people are willing to give up their freedom because they're scared. But how do
not
you?
necessarily. It's either, remember, it can be out of fear, out of convenience,
Yeah, it's
diba?
easier.
Or out
Diba?
of circumstance, whatever that circumstance may be.
But
You
I
can't
guess the thing is, how do you like? It's for us. It's frustrating to see that the inefficiencies and
social constructs it.
people
So
being taken
having social
advantage.
constructs.
Like, how do you speak up, or do you just stay silent so that you don't like, like rub off people in the wrong way? Like, what's your stance when it comes to things like this?
I think what's important there is first to align with your intention, because
Mhm.
it's so easy to want to speak up. I think the problem right now, I told this to Snap, this morning or yesterday,
Yeah,
that
we were chatting.
what's really pissing me off about this whole situation is that there are too many strong opinions. Like, okay, I get it. Yes, like things make you mad, but is anybody really parang pausing? What is the intention here? And if the intention was in fact love of nation, would we be acting the way that we're acting? Like bashing a politician here, doing that, like, or whatever. If that was the underlying intention, this would
Yeah,
not be the behavior. If the underlying intention
Was
was
good.
for safety, protection, and love,
Yeah.
the behavior wouldn't appear
yeah,
this
totally.
way.
And
So
people would not
that
react that way.
I think that even if, like, yeah, we want to stand up, we want to do this, we want to do that, great. We all want to have a say, but I think what matters is before you even do that, align with what that intention is. Because
Mhm.
that's where like things get so warped. Saint Augustine said, the only way we sin is when our loves are not in order.
Wow, that's beautiful.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Grabe yan.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think I was, you read all these articles, and I've been seeing a lot of how people are saying that the way people are reacting to this whole pandemic, it's like from a fight or flight survivalist perspective na eh.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking, they're reacting na lang. And especially the government, like about maybe some of the even people in the health industry. But I guess like moving forward, like how do you how would you want people to evolve from this? Because it is a big wake up call talaga.
Yeah. How would you guys want people to evolve from this? No, sorry, wait. Let me rephrase that. How would you want to see yourselves evolve from this?
It would be good to see not just myself, but everyone hold on to the good habits that you formed during the quarantine period. Because they're definitely good habits. But the thing is, uh, there are also bad habits. So you kind of have to be able to filter that out. And throughout this process of being quarantined, I'm sure there are a lot of us that have been able to let go of bad habits. So moving forward, it would be great to stick to the good habits, but never go back to the bad habits, or at least, try your best to veer away from
So like
situations that would be.
what's one good habit that you would stick to, Snap?
I would say exercise, because lately I've been exercising pretty much every day. Versus before quarantine, I'd exercise maybe once a week, to be perfectly honest. And sometimes that's just a basketball game. Like, it's absolutely no discipline with regards to health and like wellness. It was more of just like, I just have to work, then I'll go home, and then I'll eat, sleep, and then work again.
What's a bad habit?
That's a bad habit, I think.
No, give another bad habit.
Another bad habit, I would say, maybe not being as in touch with old friends. Because to be honest, even our barkada with Nikki, over the last few days, we've talked more
Than the last 10
than
years.
the last couple
More,
of
Oh my
years.
maybe
God,
more,
I hear
yeah.
you. That's true.
Yeah, and it's online. That's the crazy part,
Yeah.
right? It's this technology's been here for a while, but we've never used it. And we didn't even bother to see each other when we would go out. I mean, Nikki and I for sure, but like some of our other friends, we wouldn't really see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't
Yeah,
that
no.
such a great takeaway? I mean, first of all, making us realize that shit, in this
Yeah.
time where all of us are locked in, who are the people that we're choosing to talk to?
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
really shows you who is so important. You can filter totally. And like
100%.
from here
100%.
on, yeah, diba? Parang from here on, I want to see them like 50% of the year
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of 2%.
I think it
Yeah.
really magnified the whole reality that we think we have time. You know what I mean? Like I remember a week before
Time
the
is a
lock.
social construct.
It is, but like I remember a week before the lockdown, I was in the beach. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I was around a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was talking to like strangers, and
So what types of
now
bad habits did you portray at the beach?
indulgence.
Fantastic.
Let's just use
Fantastic.
that umbrella, indulgence.
Yeah. I think that's a good umbrella term for it.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong though. I feel like, especially now, like we're on like the 1 month mark of the quarantine, and I've developed some pretty bad habits. Like I really indulge myself with a lot of bad food,
Mhm.
sleeping in, because I realized that when I was young, when I was like in grade school, high school, those were the things I did to actually comfort myself. I'd take long naps coming home from school, or I'd sleep in class when I didn't want to
We'd
listen.
sleep in class, man. We would sleep in class.
Exactly.
Like they would have to wake us up for tests.
And
Oh,
food
just to
food
Gisa's
naman,
context, we were all classmates.
it's true.
Nick,
Yeah.
Julo, Job, Chris Roman. We were all in one section. So
Yeah.
imagine how gulo that class was.
But yeah, diba? And food becomes a source of pleasure lang, not nutrition, not,
That's it.
you know what I mean? So
It's
like
not sustenance.
it's
Parang-
not, but the thing is how it's so difficult to rewire that when that's what gives you pleasure. It gives you comfort.
Mm.
You know, like parang in the back of
That's-
your head, you know that you should have a smoothie or eat more vegetables, but then you see like a bag of Cheetos and some instant ramen there, and you know that once you eat that, yeah, you're gonna feel good for a moment, and that moment becomes heightened, especially with this when it's the same lang. You're in the same place, see the same people, same
Yeah.
routine. And
But that's where Gisa's point comes in. I mean, that's where you filter, right? You have to
I
have
think you filter, but sometimes I feel like I personally, I don't like the idea that there's a bad and a good. Because I think that it's just a label. You know, like, yeah, fine, you can overdo things, but like don't brand it as bad. Like, okay, I'm gonna have some chips today, you know, tomorrow I'm gonna try to eat healthy. And if I slip, I'll try again tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
kind of have a bit of like kindness towards yourself. Because I feel like you weren't taught that talaga. You know, it's more like magis that,
We were
you
taught
know,
to follow
do
Ah.
more,
We were
diba?
taught to be
Yeah.
cogs in a machine.
We were.
And doctrinized in the Catholic Church as well. So imagine
Although look at us being magis already.
Yeah, we are. For the things you care about though.
Yes.
Diba?
what you're passionate about.
Kasi I
Yeah.
feel a lot of people are motivated rin kasi just by like money, power,
pay,
you know
pay,
what I
power
mean?
for sure.
Like ego.
Pay, power,
And I admit
prestige.
that's still in me. You know, like that parang there's like two voices, not even two, like maybe multiple voices in my head telling me, oh, you should do this because, you know, it'll look good in your credentials, or, you know, do this because you're going to help other people. And sometimes you get into this existential like crisis because you're thinking, I want to do this for all these reasons. So it's so gray. like all this whole navigating through a conscious, purposeful life. But Gisa, how do you how do you sift through that, in a more cerebral, logical way, or maybe even with your intuition?
Well, there, you said there's so many things that you want to do. It will still go back to intention, don't you think?
I think so. I think for me,
Because
intention talaga.
because like even if you do want to do all these things, parang which love are you going to prioritize first? Because
Mhm.
if you do fill yourself with hobbies, where is the time for family? If you fill yourself with, like, I don't know, traveling or whatever, where's the time for there catching up with friends and all these other things that you say you find important, but
Yeah.
are not like parang behaving in
The
accordance
manner,
with the in
hindi
accordance with that
aligned.
intention.
Yeah, hindi.
So I think it still kind of boils down to that. So like, what is your intention? What is like your deepest intention? What is it that you value? And being able to rank your loves.
I like that. I really like the ranking your loves, because I feel like the priorities kind of become, how do you say this, like a bit more
It's so skewed
blurry.
right now. It's
Yeah.
so skewed right
Like
now.
parang now, especially now, you feel like, especially we're the lucky ones because we're in our homes, we have a roof over our heads, we have access to internet, but we know that other people outside our homes are super struggling, like they're
Yeah, like
dying,
70 to 80% of the
and you want to
population.
help out, but at the same time, your reality, you're struggling with your pain, your own pain. You know what I mean? But how do you, like me? I don't know how. That's my daily struggle. Like I want to help out, and for me, the best way I can do it with enthusiasm is to teach yoga, to teach meditation. I mean, do I think about going out to the front lines? Yeah, but honestly, it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Because like there is that factor of
There's
getting
risk.
infected,
There's risk.
dying,
Yeah.
infecting other people. So
course.
it's really it's a
This whole
painful process.
situation is a mind fuck. It really is.
Super.
Because like if we were in any other situation, let's say like Ondoy or Yolanda or like that, when there is a calamity, we are there.
Yeah.
Right? It's so normal for us to do these things. But right now, in as much as we are the helpers, we are also the enemy.
We are.
Because
We
you
really
can
are.
be carried. You can be carried.
Exactly. You
without
are
paying
the
attention.
enemy.
Yeah.
Even to your own family, you are the
That's it.
enemy. So this is why it can really be psychologically painful. A lot of people are also, they don't realize it, but all this worry, this anxiety, all of that, like, give yourself time to grieve also. Give
And then
yourself
let
time
go of
to
the
like,
negativity after.
yeah, just like mourn what's happening in the world, because it is sad. It really is sad, and not all of us can bounce back as fast as others.
I totally
Some
agree.
some
Totally agree.
people find that there. That's why there are 7 billion ways to shine our light. And right now, not all of us are capable of being in the front line. Not all of us are capable of, doing a fundraiser here and there and raising like 10 million pesos and whatever. Not all of us have that capability. Some people do. And when all of this started, I did not want in on any of it, because I knew that I wasn't in that space,
Mhm.
and I needed it to come from a place of sincerity if I ever wanted to get into it. But I realized, you know what? Other people are doing it. I'm okay where I am. I'm going to stick to what I know. I'm going to do my job really well. And that's what's going to get me through it. But
Nice.
some others really like to respond in different ways. And that's okay too.
I'm so happy that you stressed that, because I needed to hear that. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like when you're bombarded by so much information and you feel so hopeless, but you know you have so much to give. But the thing is, sometimes you need to respect where you're at.
Yeah.
Like you're not there yet. And
ano gagawin mo doon?
yeah,
Parang
diba?
you have to already know, right?
Acknowledge that, okay, I'm here and it's okay. Sometimes like today I was just lying down in bed, because I didn't really want to do anything, like, and that's fine. And I think for me, I think it's one of the best things about not the one of the silver linings of this whole quarantine, I think, is it really, you're forced to hit the brakes. Like I've had a breakdown to my siblings. You know, like I didn't realize I was so angry. And it wasn't even to them. It was just angry about the whole situation. And I think we're all going to have our breaking points in different ways, constantly working out till you're just dead tired.
True.
But
Oh yeah, you
everyone
saw
is,
that
diba?
today. You
Like,
saw that today.
we're just doing what we can. And I think
Yeah.
that's a great thing because like it's really parang removing the stuff that doesn't serve you na rin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, also, like, I was talking to a friend about this. We need to recognize that we can have other emotions aside from fear and worry. So I think that at least in the beginning, I started feeling like, whoa, if I'm not with society, meaning society is worried, society is like, we need to act, we need to do this, we need to do that. If I'm not with them, then parang I feel guilty. And we also need to be careful about that because it's actually okay to have happy moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to celebrate things. It's okay to be living your normal life.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right.
But like the world has made it in a way na parang no. If you're
Very
not
difficult.
if you're not in this frequency of fear and worry, then you don't care about the world.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute,
parang,
right?
diba?
It sucks.
But I think that's where we get trapped. That's where we get trapped. The thinking of if you're not here in this pit with us,
Because
then
again,
you don't care.
to your point earlier, there are 7 billion ways to shine your light. So that's basically your consciousness, Nikki's consciousness, my consciousness, as Nikki and I were talking about the other day. It's all happening at the same time. So parang I'm not saying it's herd mentality, but I think that's a good analogy. Na parang if everyone's consciousness is thinking this, mas nakakahawa. Like, for example, you're in a group and everyone, this is an oversimplification. Everyone wants to watch Star Wars, but you want to watch, let's say, I don't know, Lord of the Rings.
My Little Pony. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
My
yun,
Little Pony.
Para extreme. Para
Yeah, extreme.
Diba? Si My Little Pony, pusta ko. Sabi niya, sama ako sa Star Wars. I'll go with my friends. Because I don't want to watch My Little Pony by myself.
Yeah.
The time's different pa. So, they get out of their movie, I'm still in my movie, and then wala na. There's so many factors, diba?
Yeah. Pero see, if you went and watched My Little Pony, masaya ka pa rin. Oh.
Masaya ka pa din.
Diba?
Masaya ka pa din. Pero
So,
choice mo. That's where, again,
exactly.
the free will part comes in.
Yeah.
I think like the thing about this whole, you know how like Murphy's Law, like when I remember the
Everything
movie
that can go wrong,
will go wrong, and that like I remember they mentioned it in like Interstellar.
Interstellar.
And then when they brought that up, like and always like people in the production and the video production industry talk about that a lot. Rin. Na parang lahat ng problemang naisip mo mangyayari yun. You just need to be able to deal with it. And I think being in that industry for a really long time, that causes you to look at all possibilities. And
Nice.
I never thought that this crossed my mind. This whole, it kind of looks like a dystopian post-apocalyptic reality right now all over the world. And I remember kind of like toying with that idea before, and now it's happening. But did it feel the same way it felt when I was like visualizing myself in that world? Not really. Parang it felt even more like here, for example, today I had to make a run to the drugstore. And it was the first time I drove the car, drove through the streets, and at first I was excited. Parang, I can get out of the house for a bit. But man, I felt sad. Like I felt so sad because there was nobody talaga.
Yeah.
Parang there was no life. It was just like, now it became this, it honestly felt like a hospital. A hospital that was like totally abandoned. It was just sterile, no energy. You don't feel any vibes.
Yeah.
And it was just, parang sometimes when you see movies of like post-apocalyptic themes, you feel that fear, excitement, very heightened sensations. But parang me being outside, I was just low and saddened by the whole reality.
Did
like,
you bring your pass?
No, I was alone, man. I had to go to the freaking drugstore.
That's why you were feeling bad, bro.
No.
Subconscious guilt.
There's no guilt. The drugstore is so near. Anyway,
I'm just
anyway.
joking. Oh,
But
go,
like
go.
Gisa, like I want to ask you about your take on community though. Like I know you have a good circle of people who are in the same wavelength in different industries. But like, how important is that to you?
How important is community to me? Well, with the seafarers, for example, um, my main goal for them is actually to be able to develop bonding, because we now live in this world where like we tend to isolate. We said it ourselves. We have been friends for so long, yet
We
you
don't see each
guys
other.
haven't. Yeah, we haven't talked
Never chat,
this
never like
long
this.
Yeah.
Never.
in like
Yeah.
a really long
Long
time, or
time.
even
Yeah.
just for
Normally
you
like a
guys, like
couple of
within your
messages on
barkada,
Instagram.
right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a basic human need to have human connection. But having a community that is of quality is even more important. So it's not about getting scattered or being scattered and just, making friends with whoever. That's happened to me. I've made friends with whoever.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
Nikki
kind
and I
of
too.
like bit
You
me in
have.
the ass too.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
like I
Definitely.
think I've kind of learned
So
through life.
how do you learn that though? How do you discern, or how do you like get a sense of who are good friends for you or a good community to be around with? Because a lot of people I feel don't really understand that idea of, because sometimes you want to be pleasant. I think society tells us to be pleasant all the time, to be friendly, keep up conversation, be open. But sometimes the
Mm,
vibe's just off. Like
yeah.
you're not in the same wavelength. You're just bumping heads. So like, but how do you? Because for me, it's like you can discern by vibe lang talaga. But
Yeah.
some people, like I don't know with Snap, I know you analyze things, Ren. With
Yeah.
Gisa, you like what's your process?
I think, well, last year, parang one of the main takeaways was I realized that when we meet new people, I don't know if this happens to you. You meet a new group of people, you start
Mhm.
bonding.
Mhm.
For me, an indicator that this person is someone that I shouldn't proceed with
Mhm.
is if they open up to me way too fast.
Mm. How come?
Which is the opposite, diba? Parang you
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
whoa, we're so
yeah,
bonded
yeah, yeah,
agad. Like you realize you're talking to them for 5 minutes, suddenly you're like, oh my God, we're totally on the same wavelength.
yeah.
No, back
Mhm.
out. Like, as
Yeah.
in, back
Red
off
flag. Red
completely.
flag.
Red
Red
flag.
flag.
Total
Red
red
flag.
flag. I call it, what do you call this? I call it like premature vulnerability. I call it
Mm.
toxic vulnerability. Sorry.
Mm.
To make
It's toxic.
you open up and then just to create that
Yes.
bond at
Codependency.
that moment.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily dependency, but it's more of like acceptance, I think, is what they're looking for.
Yeah. I think, and it's not just that. Like I've encountered this many times in my life where like
Uh-huh.
I meet a couple of people, they tell me like their saddest story within like 2 or 3 times of knowing them, and parang napapashare ka rin.
Yeah, yeah.
And I realized na, oh my God, these people have no boundaries. Because
Mhm.
first of all, they don't even know me from Adam. So why did they open up to me? And then
Mhm.
parang napasubo ako.
Yeah.
But pag napapasubo ka rin, that's super parang crucial and dangerous.
Yeah.
So I guess for me it's that. If they open up way too fast, I would say red flag.
Yeah.
Be careful, because the person has no boundaries, is willing to tell anybody and everybody the story. And Brene Brown says it herself. You need to be careful about being vulnerable. It's not about just opening up and telling your story. It's about
Mhm.
opening up to the right people.
Yeah.
And you'll only know if they are the right people through time.
Mhm.
Like the three of us have
Character
known each
will,
other since we were like in high school.
yeah,
Mhm.
character will show
So
itself over time.
Yeah.
Diba? The
it will.
inconsistencies will show it.
And I think the best part, Ren, I mean, for me with age, as we got older, you tend, I mean, I think you tend to not give a shit about what people think na rin. And you tend to not filter as much na rin. Like, if you don't want to talk, you're not going to talk. If you don't want to reply, you're not going to reply. Because like, it's just, there's so much bandwidth in that. And I think that creates a lot of stress, internal stress. People
Yeah.
pleasing, being able to conforming all the time. I mean, that's
You don't
draining
always
as
have to go with
fuck.
the group.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't.
You
That's
don't
why I
really
always
believe
don't.
in
have
the
to go with the
filter.
group.
I really believe in the filter. That's why uh to Gisa's point, that's your litmus test, I think. I have a similar method to gauge how real a person is.
What's your litmus test?
Which is?
I ask certain questions and then I really look at how they answer.
Ask me a
Like
question.
like what is one question?
Yeah, ask me a question. Let's
Are
say
these
I'm
the
an
4
outsider.
ways? Yung mga Rotary Club ba to? Is it the truth or?
Go. Let's say you have a hypothetical situation right now.
Okay, so let's say, for example, new group. Someone is talking about, let's make it something random. The best basketball player in the world.
Okay.
Parang ganon is LeBron James.
Yeah.
Ever. Okay, so, or they're talking about the best basketball player.
Okay.
So you ask them questions to see if they're open to the idea that who they think is the best is wrong. The moment that they're defensive about who, kunyari, hindi, it'll always be like, you say, if you ask the question, let's say, how do I put it? Let's say, so if you think LeBron is the best, how would you compare his 6 trips to the finals, but only winning 4 out of the 6 versus Jordan, who won 6 out of the 6? And then if he's like, no, LeBron's better because statistics-wise, he shoots this, he passes this, he does this.
Yeah. He's not open to another opinion.
Yeah.
Doesn't even want to engage with you.
Versus the person who would answer, the answer could be something like, you know what? Maybe LeBron is the best all-around player, but not the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
That person is giving you a more parang cerebral answer. It's not just defense mechanism. Parang, I'll stand by my belief kahit na mali dahil ito yung paniniwala ko and I already said it. I'm just gonna stick with it. Bahala na.
But do you think you can challenge that though? Like, do you feel like
I wouldn't challenge it? I would just let it play out. And then
no, not in that sense. Let's say. I mean, I'm just trying to like kind of push you a bit into the probe you more. Like, let's say you're talking to this guy, and you already get a sense that he's a bit more like guarded and has maybe insecurities. But like, would you prod him more into like, or are you just gonna allow him to just defend himself and just like?
Hindi, kung insecurity kasi iba yun eh. It can be
let's say it's close-mindedness talaga.
Close-mindedness. At that point, I'll just agree. I'll just be like, okay, yeah. Or like, talaga? Or
then I gotta go. Yeah. See you, man. Nice to meet you.
I gotta go. I'll still stay with the group. I'll still talk to everyone, socialize. Like, I'm not gonna put a wall.
But you know that like beyond that,
yeah,
that's as far as like you're gonna go.
I'm not gonna tell them like the saddest story of my life, like you mentioned, diba? To your point, na it's like a different version of that, diba? Parang.
But why do you think though that I remember like I catch myself doing this whenever I meet somebody new? What's your default question? So what do you do?
Yeah, literally.
Like what do you do
for work?
What do you do for work?
Yeah.
And I remember when I was traveling, the question I asked him was, "Where are you from? How long have you been traveling?" And the funny thing is, both get old. You know what I mean? Both get old. It's not like I actually miss people asking me when I was traveling what I do, like to the point that I would solicit even without asking, just to kind of move the conversation to another
direction,
diba? Yeah. But I think that's the thing about this whole reality that we're having now. We're indoors, and it's really like, you hate it for a while, and then parang, honestly, I'm kind of used to like being in my room.
There's a comfort to it.
It is a comfort to it. But once it gets pulled out, let's say in a couple of months, and we're back in the world again, that's a whole new dynamic. And I think it's just a shifting lang talaga, diba? I mean, this conversation might be relevant to us now, but then in a few months, it might just be, whatever. It's all in hindsight. So Gisa, like, I guess, what are your parting words in terms of like wisdom and insight, where
Or a
you're
key
at right now.
takeaway. Yeah, key
Where you're
takeaway.
at right now lang, what you want to share.
What do you feel what do you
What do you
feel
feel like
should
you want to share right now? Like
Yeah.
whatever's like in your space.
I'm getting go at your own pace.
I love that. I
galing?
love that. I love that. Go at your own pace.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like everyone just really, I think more than ever talaga, go at your own pace. Because you can, if you're listening, you can afford to go at your own pace. And don't feel guilty about it, diba?
Exactly. Go at your own pace, right?
Yeah.
And also go at your own pace because we're gonna be fluctuating. The emotion isn't always gonna be happy. It's not always gonna be sad either.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go through many things. So just go at your own pace. And when you dip and be there. And when you get high, stay high and be there.
Like that.
But
Stay high and be
but
there.
like be where you are in that moment each time. You really just gotta go with it and go with your own pace.
Yeah.
It's amazing.